Welcome, magnificent souls, to the Attract Health, Build Wealth podcast. This is your host, Lily, and the podcast is dedicated to codependency, breaking the bonds of codependency and the baggage associated with that, and dropping that, transitioning to self-care, self-love, compassion, and really a world where you can really exist the way that you're supposed to exist. Feel the feelings that you're supposed to feel and do the things that are right by you. Today, episode 2, we're going to talk about codependency and how it relates to achievement. A lot of the ideas that I get for the podcast are really based around my breaking away and breaking through codependency, and my reflections on why I did the things I did throughout my life, and the realizations, really the breakthroughs about how that really manifested and why, it really wasn't maybe the right decision for me at the time, and really kind of breaking that down and sharing it with you in hopes that it can help you throughout your life. So again, today I want to talk about codependency and achievement. Hold on, my dog. Talk about codependency and achievement, and I don't know, do you know anyone, or are you yourself maybe a high achiever? Multiple awards, or even if maybe in sales, at the top of the sales list. The things in life really have to be a competition for them. Maybe a one-upper, as they like to say. But honestly, that was me at a point in my life. And I'm not really embarrassed to talk about that. It's something I'm actually proud about. I'm proud that I kind of came out of it. But in my life, I pursued a career in sales and marketing, and which is kind of a high achieving type of field anyways. But a lot of what I realized in looking back now in 2020 vision, and a lot of what I did was for other people. It really wasn't for me. I really wasn't honed in on what was going to make me happy. But I would pursue things in my career that, what's really great is I did end up achieving that, which really made it a little bit counterintuitive, I guess, if you're looking back on it, because, if you look at me on the outside, you see that I've been, I got my dream job in New York City. I've been a national champion in a sport that I pursued, things like that. And, looking at my grades through high school is one of those things where that was really what I was pushed to do from the outside. And what I just want to point out is that high achievement obviously is not a bad thing, right? If that's what you want to do and that's what you're really pushed to do. I guess my concern is, where do the goals of that push and that drive, where do they come from? And it really takes a lot of introspection to look at that, right? And to dive deep about why you want to achieve this goal, or why you want to be this and this and this. Like my nephew right now wants to be an NFL player. And, I want to have a conversation with him about why that is. Is it the cars and the money and the the esteem and the prestige that comes with it, or does he want to utilize that platform to make a difference? Does he love the game of football? Because you better you better love football if you want to dedicate your whole life to it, right? And that's a conversation that we're going to have, hoping really to have a bigger impact on him and the way that he grows up. But if you know anyone that's a high achiever, and I can think of a lot of people in the news right now, there's the current president. There's like Lance Armstrong, who probably, my gut instinct about Lance Armstrong, and I know it's been a while, with him in the news, but with the whole doping thing, is that in his gut, he knew that he was doing the wrong thing, but he was more motivated by high achievement and by maybe that rush and that feel of admiration that really pushed him to do things, probably morality-wise, that he would probably never do. And more than likely, what was the motivating factor for him was stuff that really didn't connect to his inner being, and maybe his inner worth and his inner goals. So someone like Lance Armstrong, for example, could you even think that he has maybe some self-esteem issues? Like maybe he used that admiration and those achievements to kind of fill a space within him that wasn't filled. And my guess, that was probably his identity. So he was willing to risk everything. And I don't have the number in front of me, but, billions of dollars, his reputation, probably his relationships, and my guess is he's gone through a pretty rough transition, revolutionary time since that, and probably in a good way. So I'm happy that he's able to do that. Think of just, the actors and any high profile people. I'm not saying that that's going to be everybody, but this is probably a problem that people that you admire, or people that you see on Instagram, or people that you, even yourself, if you could kind of hone in maybe on why you post things on social media. Like, are you I've done this, I'm guilty of this. Are you constantly checking your feed to see if you get likes or comments, right? And if that's something maybe that's filling a void in you, and that is taking the place of self-love and self-admiration, then maybe you need to take a step back and realize that what all these other people are saying are never going to be good enough for you, right? So we'll talk more about this, but this is kind of a revolutionary type of thinking that I had. So I want to give you a little bit of background, like I said, of a trajectory of my life from an achievement perspective. Throughout school, I was, my dad really honed in on me about, school is a competition. Everyone that you encounter is a competitor, and I played soccer and in basketball and softball, but I ended up taking soccer all the way through college, ended up coaching in college, and what I was kind of trained is that, scoring a goal or achieving national championships, things like that, really, to be honest, to this day, I don't know if it's what I wanted, honestly, but it's what I was driven to do. And so throughout my life, I guess as I reached through to adulthood, I equated all of these things about these external type of activities that I was doing, and these external rewards and everything, to my self-worth. And at times, if I didn't achieve that, then I felt empty, right? And I felt like maybe I wasn't good enough, or very hard on myself, which we can definitely cover in a different podcast. But to this day, even 3 years ago, I realized that I pursued a sport mainly so other people would like me, to feel good. And again, I'm lucky to say that I have done a lot of great things. And if you're seeing this and you're one of my close friends or acquaintances, or what's been going on in my life, I don't want to sound ungrateful for my experiences, because all of my experiences really brought me to where I am today, right? And put people in my life that have continued to inspire me and, to support me in my whole kind of transformation. But what I've realized is that codependency has a lot to do with how your achievements, and how you view yourself, and where you put those, where you kind of categorize those in your life as far as importance, or self-love, or self-worth, or even, self-esteem, which we'll get into this too, but I'm a little bit iffy on the term self-esteem, because self-esteem for me, of course, on the outside, I look like I have good self-esteem. I'm confident. I can be cocky at times. I can whip my hair, and it looks like, on the outside, that I have self-esteem. So self-esteem to me is a little bit superficial, but self-worth, right, is like really digging down deep in there. And in some cases, it's binary. Do you feel like you're worth it, or do you not? So those achievements that you're going out and you're conquering can falsely, put that into the category of, yes, I'm worth it. But if you really don't believe it, really, then those are kind of space fillers for your self-worth, which is what we're trying to really kind of dig down deep in. That achievement, it does not equal worth. right? If it matters to you, if that achievement matters to you and you know that, then that's where your self-worth comes in. And that's where, like, you can really feel that connection, right? That I know, like Lance Armstrong, I know he doesn't feel. I feel really bad for him because I can understand. My good feelings about my achievements stemmed from being liked or admired by other people. I can say that today, and it feels good to touch on that. Um, you know, like I said, I think a lot of it came in me from my dad, which is not a bad thing. Again, a lot of this competition mentality and achievement mentality has taken me very far in my life. And now with my life's work here, working with people with codependency, I think it's only prepared me. But I think the most important thing, again, is to touch in on that. Be aware. Touch in on, why are you doing something? Why are you, trying to be the number one sales guy in your industry? Obviously, money is a big factor, probably. But why is money a big factor? What do you want? What do you want to do with that money? You want a nice car. Well, why do you want a nice car? Is it to get all the ladies to look at you? Or is it, that's something that you've been dreaming of your whole life and you really want the wind in your hair? That's my dream, is to get a convertible, right? So I love the feeling of the wind in my hair, the music up, and just driving, right? That feeling is really what I want. That achievement is just a means to get there, right? So if you can think of maybe a goal that you have or an achievement that you have and dial it back, ask yourself why. Ask yourself why like 5 or 6 times. And if you can't dig in deep on that, then maybe I would try to reevaluate what you're doing. And not to say that you quit your job, but just figure out a way to make it about your self-worth, I guess you could say. I think also, thinking back, I've worked for Apple, I've worked for the NBA, I've worked for the NHL, and thinking back on it, again, a lot of this came from my upbringing about achievement, self-worth, that who I worked for, if I worked for a good company, or the salary that I had, or the degree that I obtained, right? And that's a whole nother situation about education, and it's so messed up and faulty, and looking back, or if I ever have kids, I definitely would reevaluate that whole conversation. But the quality of who I was depended on whether I worked for a good company, or whether I had a good salary, or whether I had a bachelor's or master's degree. If you're listening to this and you don't have any of those, fuck it. That's not who you are. That's not who you are. That's not what you want to do. That's not what you want to do, right? So again, dial it back a little bit. If you can think of something, that you're going for right now, present day, and sit down, write down on a piece of paper, ask why. Ask yourself why a couple times. And what you'll find is either what you're trying to do is really aligned with your life purpose and your self-worth, and it feels right? I can't really describe, it's kind of an indescribable feeling, but if you're going for, the Bel Air convertible, that's me, for the right reasons, right? I don't want to be ostentatious, but hey, my grandfather had a Bel Air sitting in the driveway, and I love convertibles, and that's like, when I hit that point, I'll know that I've hit achievement in my terms. Does that make sense? Again, I'm very fortunate to say I achieved all of these things. I set myself goals. I was admired, and, I am admired, and the public perception of me is that I am successful. But, looking back, I didn't feel successful. I went through some very hard times when I was at the pinnacle of my success in New York City, living paycheck to paycheck, really having to kind of do some really deep introspection about what makes me happy. I read a lot of The Secret then, and dove in deep on that. But what I realized looking back is that I was there, like I was doing what thousands, I, quote unquote, beat out thousands and thousands and thousands of people for a position, but I was still unhappy. And the reason that I was unhappy is because maybe it wasn't really connected to me in a way. Still thought, there was something wrong. There was something off about me. Roots of unhappiness were growing, and everybody in my life was telling me that I was doing the right thing, that I was doing what I was supposed to do, and that I was supposed to be happy. But I didn't feel happy. I felt like something was wrong with me. And, I had the most recent revolutionary breakthrough conversation I had recently with my dad. And I shared with him that my life's work through the rest of my life was pursuing things that I want to do, whether that be, writing a book, helping people through codependency and issues, whether it be starting a nonprofit or an animal rescue organization. And he vehemently does not agree with that decision and that choice. And, my dad isn't really the type to keep that under wraps, or to be, passive aggressive, I guess, about that. And he constantly sends me links of job openings at larger companies like eBay or Amazon or Google, And for the first time in my life, I was able to say, look, Dad, I know you love me and I appreciate you. But I just want to tell you, this is not what I want for myself. I am going to try things. And he said, well, Lily, you keep trying things and they never work out, or they don't work. The breakthrough moment for me with that conversation was the acceptance of his opinion, his portrayal of what he thought that I should be, and the deep rootedness to my feelings of self-worth and happiness. I hope that makes sense. Because at that moment in time, which actually wasn't too long ago, I was able to not argue with him, put on my adult hat, and tell him that this is who I am, and this is what makes me happy. And that was the first time in my life that I had ever been able to do that. It had been marinating in me for a long time, right? And through this self-reflection and self-discovery, and the realization that I really need to tap in to things that I want to do, the things that make me happy, because everything else that these people are telling me that's going to make me happy, it isn't it. And I am the first person to tell you that it takes five or six bumps on the head for me to get it right, but it's finally there and it feels so freaking good. And my magnificent soul is now strong and realizes that my self-worth is worth standing up for. So this conversation with my dad ended fine. There's no aggressiveness or anything like that. There's no grudges or anything like that, which I'm thankful for, and I do appreciate that. But the pure bliss and peacefulness that I can walk away from that conversation, mind you, after 35 years of my life doing things for the most part because people like him said that I should do them, and I did them, which I'm proud of, but it didn't touch me deeply. So I walk away and I'm feeling whole. When 2 years ago, if we have that conversation and he says those words to me, which are, You've tried so many things, Lily, but they never work. I would have been devastated. I would have been crushed. That would have sent me through a week probably of defecation, I guess the word is, loathing behavior, depression. Those words would have torn me apart. But because I was able to tap in to my beautiful, magnificent soul and figure out that, hey, I don't care what all these other people are telling me that I need to do. I'm doing this for me. This is my life's work. I'm doing this for people that are listening to this, for my niece and nephew, for my family. But more importantly, that's second tier. First tier is me. And that felt so, so amazing. So good. Peaceful. Purposeful. And freaking on point. Felt good. So my challenge to you, if you're listening to this, is to take a couple minutes, and if you're like me, if you're not everyone, codependency like this doesn't really manifest itself the same in other people. This is just the experience that I've had. But I was dependent on everyone else, whether that, there's so many different avenues that we can go on this: social media, family, achievement. Excuse me. But take a minute, if you have a goal in mind, you're worth it. Trust me, you're worth the 10 or 20 minutes that it takes to sit down and figure out why that is. Why do you have this goal? And if you have kids, of course your family is really top, in your list of motivation. But if that's your only motivation, and somehow you can't tap into yourself and tap into your purpose, it's going to be a tough one, So figure out a way, and the way is sit down and ask why. Write out what your goal is, ask why, answer that why question. Write out why again, answer why to that why question you just asked. Go through that 5 or 6 times. If that's a hard practice for you, then I may think about reconsidering what, if this is really, if you are in tune, if that goal is in tune to who you are. That's my challenge. And I do have a resource for you if you are interested in when you reach that aha moment, or even if you want to go through that practice online and send it out to me. I have something out there called the Epiphany Vault. That's epiphanyvault.com. And what it is, it's a safe place for you to speak into the universe about your intentions, about feedback about the show, your epiphanies, your aha moments, or any questions that you want me to cover during the podcast. If you want to go through that exercise within the Epiphany Vault, please feel free to do that, because that's what it's for. epiphanyvault.com. And if you want us to cover this on the show, all you have to do is click yes, and you can remain anonymous, or you can enter your name or your first name, and your email address if you want to be notified of things going on with the show and also be notified when we air. But it's a great opportunity. And if you don't want to give all that personal information and you just want to write out something, it's a way of journaling, maybe on the go, you can voice text it. And if you don't want us to address it, or or anything like that, just hit send and let it go in the universe. Let that energy go and do its work in the universe. It's only good for you. This exercise is only going to be good. So I encourage you to go to epiphanyvault.com and go through that exercise, or really any feedback or questions that you have, or that you want to talk about on the show. I really look forward to getting to know you more, and we are all magnificent souls, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud to be conveying that message, and I just can't wait to meet more of you and to get through the breakthrough. The breakaway and the breakthrough are the best things that you can do for yourself, for your family, for those around you. It's time. You're worth it. You're worth it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart from the Attract Health, Build Wealth podcast. We'll see you next time. Live it and lovin'.